And just like that, we are back with chapter 39 of the universe according to Mugsy. I am Mugsy, the creator, and today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Hey, how are ya? Welcome back, peeps. Thanks for checking in again on the universe according to Mugsy. How was your 4th of July? I am looking like I got some sun, a little bit of sun, not too bad. I hope you all had some hot dogs and some burgers, maybe a little potato salad, whatever it is. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you did something. I hope you guys fucking took a break and didn't work. Um, and you enjoyed this sinking ship right before we hit the bottom. Oh my God. How do we want to start this? What an interesting world we live in, guys. What crazy times. What crazy times. And I really thought that more people would notice. Feel like the only one on now this has been going on forever, but on July 1st, I went out to eat in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and we um my wife and I walked around the lake a bit before we went out to eat. And what we discovered was as of July 1st, you were allowed to put your chairs out for the 4th of July fireworks and nobody's going to touch them. Does that is that crazy to anyone else other than me? That seems like a ridiculous thing that I mean, it would be one thing if it would just around a park or something like that, or like the Hatch Shell, but this is center business district, right? There are banks and shit where you're gonna walk around people's 4th of July fireworks set up for like 3 days, 3 full days. You're gonna go in and out of 7-Eleven, in and out of these restaurants, these bars, this ice cream shop, all because this city with only child energy like I've never seen before. Just they have to, I don't know, sit in the same spot to watch the same fireworks that have gone on the same day in the same location on Earth for eternity? I don't know. I don't know. And I was told that people get in arguments, they get in fights over this. Um, just trying like, hey, you got to move your stuff because me and my grandfather have watched the fireworks here at Wakefield, for the last 73 years together. So you got to move your stuff, buddy. What are we doing here? What are we doing? And if that was the only thing that, was out of line, then it'd be one thing, but there's just so much, so much. I know everybody's fireworks displays were a little diminished this year. Guess what? Nobody's got any money. Nobody's got any money. We'll get into that, but I just thought that was crazy. I mean, really only child energy big time. And some of the other stuff that I've been seeing, it's just it doesn't make sense. It's not the same world that I grew up in. Now, I understand that times change, but the rapidness with which the world that I once knew has collapsed is remarkable, if not scary, downright destructive. When I was a kid, you'd go into a restaurant and there was a greeter who would greet you. This person was usually dressed nice with a smile on their face, and if they weren't dressed nice, they were at least wearing some sort of attire that had advertisements of the restaurant on it. And I know because I've worked in a lot of restaurants, man. I worked in the restaurant industry for 10 or 15 years at least, maybe more than that. Who knows? Um, and never have I walked into an establishment and had the hostess face down in a cell phone, but that's normal, right? That's normal in today's day and age. But for me, the kicker was the Top Gun t-shirt. Top Gun the movie. Tom Cruise just made a remake a couple of years ago. To be wearing a Top Gun shirt in a restaurant that isn't like a tavern or a movie themed restaurant, maybe. I don't know, a music hall. I would expect to see some musicians or maybe movie stuff. I don't know. But just a regular ass Italian joint or I don't know, an American bar and grill. It's weird. I wasn't sure if she was the hostess or she was robbing the place. Are you supposed to be standing there or are you a customer who has gotten lost? I am just unaware of what is going on because I am here to eat some food inside of this establishment. How do I go about doing that? You seem to be standing in the location where the woman who usually seats me is. If I could, and I mean, hey, woman, men, host, hostess, I don't give a shit. In my experience, it's typically been a woman, but I've seen men do it too, so I don't care. But could you say hello to me? Could you look up? Could you let me know that you are a restaurant that is open for business? And that would have been a fine experience. I would have been a little taken aback, but I would have said, "Oh, all right. Let's get off to this dining extravaganza. Let's enjoy a meal. Let's get on with our lives." But that's not exactly how it went. I There's nobody else in the restaurant. I want to point this out because we're early, 5:30, I think. Now, I got to imagine the waiters, the waitresses, and the hostess are there before 5 o'clock for a shift. So I don't think I'm like in between shifts. I'm trying to be as gracious as I can before I tear down this fucking restaurant establishment, as I'm currently doing. So we're the only people in the restaurant. We were seated in the corner, back corner, which I thought was interesting, right? You've got all these tables. You could sit somebody out. You sit them at a two top in a corner, whatever. Um, and maybe 5, 10 minutes pass to the point where I don't know if I should get up and check if that was actually the hostess or if maybe another woman has arrived because it doesn't seem like anybody's told the waitress that she has a table. And then this one threw me for a loop. Tell me, please, in the comments if you have ever received service like this. This waitress, I must say, was fully dressed in the restaurant uniform. She had an apron like you would normally see waiters or waitresses have. She had the logo of the restaurant on her collared shirt. So at this stage of the game, I think I'm in the right place. I'm about to get some service. I'm going to get a drink out of this lady. That's where I was wrong. That's where I was wrong. Never in my entire adult or child life, from what I can remember, have I been seated at a table. A waitress walked up and just stared into my eyeballs, just looking at me like, what are we doing here? I didn't know what to do. I was so taken aback and I start to stumble over my words. Sweetheart, would you like a drink? I think that's what the nice waitress is insinuating by that stare of death she is giving me in my eyeballs. It was so crazy. So we order drinks. She doesn't say anything. No more words come out of this woman's mouth. And that to me is flabbergasting. But she writes down our drink order and she walks away. So that was just what? What are we doing here? I had never had an experience like that in my whole life. And the rest of it kind of went a little bit better. She came back with the drinks, took our order. Um, Still don't know the lady's name. She was, I don't know. And I am told, all right, maybe I don't get out enough. I am told that the younger generation is a little bit different. Maybe they don't have the communication skills that generations previously had to develop because of the way that the world worked. This was not one of those people. This was an older person, someone who had seemingly worked in restaurants their entire life and had somehow forgotten the like 3 rules that there are to taking orders. Introduce yourself in the restaurant you're at. Ask the people if they want drinks, and then ask them if they want food, and then bring it to them. That's basically it. Oh, so that was an interesting one. I couldn't believe it. And What's killing me is shit. There's a couple restaurant things I wanted to get into. What other crazy stuff? Oh, that Hostess and that Attire. I couldn't believe it. So coming out of that establishment was just, it was just crazy. And then, you know, I was in a different restaurant. This was the one that was in Wakefield. And people just have no money and they're pretty upfront about it. This is interesting. I have run out of money several times in my life. I've gone all in on myself. I am currently doing it right now, if you haven't noticed. But there was a couple sitting next to me and my wife at a table with two children driving a nice car, all dressed very nice. All the kids had iPads and video games with them. Parents drinking, knocking back, a couple ordering appetizers, food, dessert, another round of dessert. And the husband, the father figure at this dinner decides to go to the bathroom. The mother pays for the meal. And when the father gets back, it's like a panic. It's panic. What card did you give him? Oh my God. Well, I gave him the red card. I gave him the debit card. There's no money in that account. There's nothing in there. So what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. We have 7 cards. We'll try one of them. There's got to be enough on one of them. What are we doing here? Why are you out to eat? Why are you ordering 27 appetizers, entrees, and desserts if you don't have any money in your wallet? That's another thing that flabbergasts me. People used to go out to eat with money in their wallet, and now they're charging it to these credit cards with close to 30% interest rates. Inflation is through the roof. I don't know if these people have any idea how they're going to pay for anything. You know, when you're done and you don't know how you're going to pay for a meal, you have not thought clearly or logically about the process of your day. So, how could you have thought logically about the process of your life, your week? How are you going to get to work tomorrow? Do you have gas in your car? Like, oh, it's insane. And the people helping are no better, right? Go into a store, go into any store. If you still have a mall or establishment near you that sells products in person, I know it's rare. It's so rare nowadays. But when you go in, it's like everybody is offended to help you, which is not the way things used to be. It's like, what are you doing inside my store? You can do all of this from the comfort of your own home. But some of us like to go out to stores. Some of us like to interact with people. And by the way, customer service associate at Bob's Shoes, did you know that if I buy all my stuff online, you're out of a job? As Bob Shoes is now closing, it's been bought out a few times. It is one of the many franchises of department store that has shuttered its doors in the recent years due to pressure put on by the internet, more or less, technology, right? Consolidation. And it's like that doesn't even register in these people's minds as they are doing everything in their power to provide a poor shopping experience in the store. Now, I don't even know if they know what a good shopping experience is. I don't even know if I remember what it is. I don't know if I remember what a good dining experience is. I don't know if I remember what a good shopping experience is. Oh, it's just nuts. And when you stop and you observe, and you quiet yourself and you quiet your mind, you just start to notice these things and you start to stack them up. And when it starts stacking up and you start talking about your day and remembering all of the craziness that happened, it's starting to seem like this world is something we don't recognize. And that is fascinating because we collectively create the culture that accepts this. I cannot believe, I honestly cannot believe the people of Wakefield have not stood up and said, what is this craziness? I can't believe with all of the poor people in this country that nobody has come up and robbed all of your lawn chairs and sold them on eBay. July 4th, going out of business special. I just picked up 350 lounge chairs and I am willing to sell them for $2 a pop. It doesn't make sense. What would the police do in that case? What are the police going to do? Yes, there's cameras everywhere. Sure, everything is on camera nowadays. If you were to stop somebody and you were to say, hey, you're robbing all these people by stealing their chairs, what would the police say to you? What do you mean stealing? I'm just picking up a bunch of things that have been left out. In fact, I called out, I said, hey, is this anybody's chair? I'm going to wait 10 minutes, 50. I'm going to wait an hour and I'm going to wait 24 hours on July 4th. And if nobody has claimed these chairs by July 2nd, then I'm taking them. This is lost and found type shit. This is the world that we live in. There's no way that that flies in any other city in the country. Please write into me if your city allows you to leave your chairs, your blankets, your setup for more than 12 hours before the fireworks. That to me is just insanity. And we're allowing it to happen. What else? There are no jobs, which is the other fucking fascinating thing. I know about these restaurants, right? Because when you have no money, you're looking for a quick fix, right? So I'm very well versed in how to provide quality dining experiences to people. So I'm walking into these restaurants looking for jobs and there's nobody there. And apparently the people that are inside these restaurants that are eating at these tables, they got no money either. And I'm going in and I'm finding out that, yes, wow, the chickens have come home to roost, per se. The inflation has now tackled the consumer's wallet so much they have nothing else to spend. They are mortgaged to the gills. They are defaulting on their credit card payments, their car payments, their student loan payments at rates higher than we've seen since 2008, the great financial crisis. I assume that we are absolutely at this stage of the game far surpassed those, because now we know that our statistics are now as good as China's, which is crazy. That is, if you guys don't know, if you don't follow business, if you don't follow finance, if you don't follow the stock market, and you haven't for the last 10 or 15 years, you wouldn't know that we do not accept China's financial reporting numbers ever. We take them as if it is a child who is doing their own report card in crayon and they're showing it to their parents looking for approval. All right. We have some idea of how the Chinese economy is growing based on inferences from our own trading and the trading that we know goes on with China, right? So we are inferring their economy and what is going on, because that's what happens when an economy is fully tied up in a communist country, right? The government is the economy to some degree. That was something we always laughed at here in this country, in the United States of America. How do you trust anything? How do you trust the government if they lie to you about even your numbers? How do you draw any true conclusions? Where are the facts? How do you set your society up on a course towards a profitable and prosperous and happy and healthy future for your citizenry? You can't. You just can't. And that is the United States of America. I would highly encourage you to follow the account Unusual Whales on Twitter. There are dozens of accounts like it. Find your own if you like. But what they do is they follow up on the economic data that is released by our governmental federal bureaus, by ratings agencies, by large banks on Wall Street, hedge funds, private equity, anybody that's making recommendations, Unusual Whales usually covers. And one of the stats that comes out by our Federal Employment Bureau is payroll numbers. And these come out, was it quarterly? More than quarterly. But anyways, these numbers come out. And what has happened for the Biden administration, and it goes back to Trump, but certainly over the Biden administration, it has taken a remarkable turn because every one of our payroll numbers, which is how many businesses are reporting hires, every time we release that data saying we hired 250,000 new jobs came into the marketplace, what the government does is they wait a week and they revise it down. Then they wait another week and they revise it even further down. And they are now revising it so far down after the fact that it makes the original number look completely false, like a crayon drawing from a toddler, because anybody who has any understanding of the marketplace, of finance, of this data and what it means, now knows that it ain't worth shit. And a similar thing is happening in the job market. If you haven't found out, if you're looking for jobs, there are postings for jobs all over the place. More than 50% of those postings are fake. That is because it looks very good when it looks like your company is hiring, right? So publicly traded companies on Wall Street will post a lot of job postings to make it look like business is good. They are now hiring more individuals because they can't handle the amount of volume workload that they are doing, which will mean that they will eventually have more profits because business is so good. It looks great when you report these numbers. The problem is it's all bullcrap. It's all stage dressing, window dressing. It's all crap. So now the United States and China are on level footing in terms of their financial reporting, which is another thing we just choose to accept, but that is the culture that we have. All right. And what I do love is there is no better time. If you're a good bartender or a good waiter or a good business person anywhere out there in the world, just start doing it. Start becoming it, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm becoming a podcaster. How? I'm sitting here and doing a podcast and I'm figuring it the fuck out. And I think I'm doing a hell of a lot better than a lot of people out there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be throwing all my eggs in this basket, right? I think I'm better than the people out there. I think this podcast is better than a lot of the ones that Barstool Sports puts out. I think it's better than a lot of the stuff that Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura put out. It's nowhere close to as good as a lot of the people I put on a high pedestal that I see as my peers, my colleagues, and my friends, because they have taught me about this journey that I am now undertaking. Just like you can be the first to teach others in your industry, whatever that industry is, just start doing it and start doing a good job and hold yourself to a higher standard than we collectively are holding each other to in this country, in this society, and in this culture. If we control our culture, politics is downstream of that. If we don't allow this bullshit, if we don't accept it, everything else will figure itself out. But the only way that we can do it is to start with yourself. And a long time ago, for me, that started with observation, right? And one of the things that I observed was the supermarket. And I looked around in this supermarket and I said, I don't want to look like any of these people. That another thing that jumps out to me in the supermarket is the amount of people driving around on those motorized scooters and just their entitlement, right? Like they're entitled to be sitting back, relaxing as they pick out their favorite poison to go enjoy for the week. And at no point in their mind does it even cross their mind that, yes, there's probably an underlying health condition that has caused them to need a wheelchair type device as they go around and do their daily shopping. But when I was a child, there were men who wouldn't accept the fact that they had to ride around in one of those carts. Whatever the issue was health-wise, they would have done something to figure out a way to get through their daily lives with their head held high. And I can say that because my observation eventually led me to stop going into that supermarket. And now when I do go into that supermarket, I don't look like any of the people because as hard as it was, I found other ways to find food for myself. And my guess is my food must be healthier because I now look healthier than all of the people in that supermarket. And that was just allowing my consciousness, my observation skills to recognize the patterns of reality that existed in front of my face. And I had to change my own patterns if I wanted to achieve different results. And that is why I'm so optimistic here today, because what I'm saying to you as I illustrate how all of these patterns are crumbling around us in our restaurants, in our department stores, in our government, as we covered on the last podcast, that this is the best time to be alive because the opportunities in front of you are endless. And I am happy to report that as I am now up to 260, 270 followers on Twitter, I am bumping into people of all ages, of all colors, of all credences in this country and internationally that are really trying to make a change. They are not accepting the status quo. They are challenging it. Take a look at Europe and all of their revolts this summer. And potentially, you will see that other cultures have not been as passive in accepting what has been thrust upon us. And perhaps this podcast can be what inspires you to go out and just make a change, just a little change. We don't need a lot. What I'm shooting for, every year, what I'm shooting for is 5% change. 5%, and then compound on that. Because when you change 5% of your life, think about that. 24 hours a day, what is 5%? That's minutes of your day. It's a good chunk of minutes, but change it. Do something different. Before you sit down to every meal, take 5 minutes to be thankful for the food you're about to enjoy. It doesn't matter how nutritious or not nutritious it is. When you wake up in the morning, take some time to gaze at the sun and be grateful for all of the things you have. 5 minutes. At night, stretch before you go to bed. Just stretch. 5 minutes, 10 minutes of stretching. Do it in silence and see where your mind wanders. And what I'm telling you is you will find new patterns that will lead you to notice things about your own life. You will start to teach yourself things about yourself. And then you will start to say, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like this pattern. I don't know if I like this thing that I do when I get home from work every day. Maybe if I do something different right when I get home from work, when I have just a little bit of energy left, maybe that will set my night off onto a completely different course, or maybe it's the weekend. Maybe I don't have enough time in the middle of the week. Maybe I have too much going on. Maybe I have too many obligations. Maybe that is something I should think about. What are the obligations that actually matter to me, right? Am I eating because I'm hungry, or am I eating because I'm bored? Am I looking to dull my mind out, or do I want to use this as an opportunity to sharpen it just a little bit? These are all things that will lead us to a different result, a different society, and a different culture that we're all going to share and exist in. All right, so I wanted to get back and just talk about some of the stories. I know the last one we really got into the politics side of stuff, and I don't want to harp on that all the time. It is what it is. It is what we have accepted. It is what we need to change. But perhaps the best way to start that change is focus on ourselves. All right, that's the consciousness, guys. So take back your consciousness. I love you. I hope you guys had a great 4th of July. I hope that you guys believe that this is a country worth saving, you know? And I hope that you do feel optimistic because in all of this bullshit that drags us down, there is so much opportunity for growth ourselves in this world, to build new institutions, build new structures, build new environments that we are proud of, that we are proud to collectively share and collectively exist in. And maybe we'll get to know each other in the process. I love you guys. Take back your consciousness. I'm out.